2020, the season where Bayern didn't just win trophies, they overwhelmed teams. A treble, total dominance, games that were over before they even settled, a squad that felt perfectly built for one unstoppable run. So now that Bayern are knocking on that same door again, chasing everything, it raises a really interesting question. What happened to their last team that did it?
Football's more than a game. It's passion, pride, glory. This World Cup season, Goal 90 brings you our biggest offer yet. Buy 3 jerseys and get 1 free. That's 4 jerseys for the price of 3. And yes, free worldwide shipping. This is a limited time World Cup special only until April the 30th. So move fast. Pick your jerseys. Wear your passion. Own the moment before they're gone. Visit Goal 90 Shop, link in the description.
Let's start with the captain, the constant, the last line of chaos control, Manuel Neuer. Back in 2020, Neuer wasn't just a goalkeeper, he was basically Bayern's 11th outfield player. Sweeper keeper, leader, organizer, all rolled into one. And years later, somehow, he's still doing it. Even recently in Bayern's massive Champions League clash against Real Madrid, Neuer turned back the clock with a performance that reminded everyone why he's still elite. He's had setbacks, especially that long injury after his skiing accident in 2022, but he's fought his way back again. The wild card, Alphonso Davies. In 2019-20, Davies wasn't just good, he was electric. That run against Barcelona, you already know the one, basically announced him to the world as one of the most exciting fullbacks in football. Since then, he's remained one of Bayern's biggest weapons, pace, directness, and the ability to turn defense into attack in seconds. Right now, he's still at Bayern, still starting, and still capable of producing those moments that completely shift games. The man he replaced at left back was David Alaba. In 2020, Alaba made a huge transition from left back to centre back. And not just filling in, he became the leader of that high line under Hansi Flick. His pace, positioning and ability on the ball were crucial to how Bayern played. That aggressive defensive setup doesn't work without someone like Alaba holding it together. After the treble, he left Bayern in 2021 and joined Real Madrid. And there he won again, La Liga titles, another Champions League, stepping straight into a leadership role in a completely new environment. But now, the Austrian defender is on his way out, partnering Alaba at the back, Jerome Boateng. Before Flick arrived, Boateng looked like he was on his way out. Form had dipped, injuries had piled up, and his time at Bayern seemed done. But in 2020, he turned it around. He became a key part of that treble-winning defense, experience, reading of the game, and those long diagonal passes that could flip attacks instantly. After leaving Bayern in 2021, he joined Olympique Lyonnais. He announced his retirement from professional football in September 2025 after his contract with LASK Linz ended. He is currently focusing on starting a coaching career. Now, the man who made the right-back position look calm, Benjamin Pavard. In that treble season, Pavard was all about balance. Not flashy, not overlapping constantly, but positionally solid, disciplined and reliable. He gave Bayern stability on the right side while others pushed forward. He stayed at Bayern for several years after, becoming a consistent presence in the backline before eventually moving to Inter Milan in 2023. He reached the final of the UCL again in 2024, but couldn't win it this time against Manchester City. Pavard is on a season-long loan at Olympique de Marseille from Inter Milan. However, after a difficult season with inconsistent performances and poor reception from fans, he is expected to leave Marseille and return to Inter, with potential interest from other clubs such as Roma. Then you've got the record signing at the time, Lucas Hernandez. Injuries limited his involvement, so he wasn't a central figure during the treble run. Over the next few seasons, he became more important, filling in both at centre-back and left-back. But injuries never really left him. In 2023, he made a move to Paris Saint-Germain, looking for a fresh start. And once again, availability has been the biggest question around him. And finally, the powerhouse, Niklas Süle. Süle started that season as a key defender, but a serious ACL injury early in the campaign ruled him out for most of it. He returned later in the season and was part of the squad that lifted the Champions League, but his role during the main run was limited because of that setback. After Bayern, he moved to Borussia Dortmund in 2022. At Dortmund, he's had moments where his quality is clear, strength, ball-carrying presence, but consistency has been a talking point throughout his career. Coming to midfield, the artist was Thiago Alcantara. That Champions League final performance, pure control. After lifting the trophy, Thiago made a high-profile move to Liverpool FC. And when fit, you could see exactly why they got him. His passing, his composure, his ability to slow the game down. But injuries became a constant issue, breaking up his momentum again and again. His time in England has been defined by quality, but also frustration. Following his retirement from professional football in July 2024, Thiago Alcantara transitioned into coaching and is currently an assistant coach for FC Barcelona. If Neuer is the voice at the back, Joshua Kimmich is the brain. In that treble season, Kimmich was everywhere. Right back, midfielder, set-piece taker, tempo controller. And that Champions League final assist? Still one of the most underrated moments of that campaign. Since then, his role has evolved. He's spent more time as a central midfielder, becoming Bayern's metronome, the player everything flows through. He's also taken on more leadership responsibility, often wearing the armband when Neuer isn't on the pitch. Then there's Leon Goretzka, the engine of that midfield. During their run, Goretzka transformed physically and became the perfect partner for Kimmich. Since then, it hasn't been smooth. Injuries have interrupted his rhythm, and Bayern have brought in more competition in midfield, which has led to phases where his role wasn't as secure as before. And earlier this year, it was decided that the German international will depart from Bayern at the end of this season. A bit of a forgotten piece from that treble victory was Corentin Tolisso. In 2020, Tolisso wasn't always a starter, but he played his role in the squad, adding depth in a season packed with fixtures. He chipped in with a few goals and gave Bayern options when injuries hit, but after that season, things never fully kicked on. By 2022, he left Bayern and returned to Olympique Lyonnais, the club where he first made his name. Since then, he's been trying to rebuild consistency and stay fit, showing flashes of the player Bayern once invested in. Let's move straight to the attack now. Lewandowski scored 55 goals in 47 games, including 15 in the Champions League, finishing as top scorer in every competition Bayern played. He was inevitable, press-resistant, clinical, and always in the right place at the right time. After that season, he somehow got even better, breaking Gerd Müller's Bundesliga record with 41 goals in a single season. Then in 2022, he made the big move to FC Barcelona, where he slowed a little but still scoring goals and leading the line. Then there's the space interpreter himself, Thomas Müller. In 2020, Müller wasn't just important, he was everywhere. He registered 21 assists in the Bundesliga alone, a record, and ended the season with 30-plus goal contributions across competitions. He wasn't the flashiest player, but he was the connector, always finding space, always linking play, always one step ahead of everyone else. And the crazy part? He's still doing it. But now in MLS at Vancouver Whitecaps, he finally left his boyhood club after 756 appearances for the senior team. Now this was a real redemption story. Felipe Coutinho. On loan from FC Barcelona, Coutinho had moments, but none bigger than that night against Barcelona. Came off the bench and scored 2 goals and got an assist in the 8-2 win against his parent club. You genuinely couldn't script it better. After that season, he returned to Barcelona, later moved to the Premier League with Aston Villa, and has since had a sadly unsettled career. He is currently a free agent after playing for Campeonato Brasileiro Serie A club Vasco da Gama. Next is the man for the biggest moment, Kingsley Coman. In a season full of goals, it was Coman who scored the most important one. His header in the Champions League final against PSG won Bayern the trophy, and of course it came against his former club. He's now playing with Ronaldo at Al Nassr and actually doing great in the Saudi League. Then you've got Mr. Reliable himself, Ivan Perisic. On loan from Inter Milan, he chipped in with important goals and assists, worked tirelessly off the ball and gave Bayern balance on the wing. After the treble, Bayern didn't keep him. He returned to Inter, later moved to Tottenham Hotspur and continued playing at a high level. Currently, he is a veteran player for PSV. And finally, the Champions League chef himself, Serge Gnabry. That season, Gnabry scored 23 goals, including 9 in the Champions League. But let's be honest, one performance defines it. 4 goals against Tottenham Hotspur in London. That was the night everyone realised Bayern weren't just good, they were terrifying. Since then, Gnabry has remained at Bayern, still producing numbers, still dangerous cutting in from the right, and now settled in the number 10 role after extending his contract. Form has fluctuated at times, but on his day, he's still one of the most explosive attackers in Europe. You can't help but wonder, are we about to witness something like that again? If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe and let us know. Which player from that team had the biggest impact in your opinion? And did we miss someone? And more importantly, can this current Bayern side recreate that legacy?